There's been a lot of people that have been, quote, canceled for whatever reason in the past several years. Whether they did something wrong, whether somebody just didn't like what they did, whatever it is, and they call for that person to, quote, be canceled, basically meaning they block whatever it is that person is trying to do, whether it's an actor who did something they don't like or said something they don't like. It's time to just never go to any of their movies ever again and try to make it so nobody wants to hire them, whatever it is. So you know what? I'm actually going to jump on that trend today, and we're going to cancel Bob Carlson today. Who the heck is Bob Carlson? Well, I've gotten several emails from some of my clients now on some emails that are going around about this guy is advertising. And he is advertising, in my opinion, in one of my least favorite ways, most hated ways of advertising. He basically reels you in with all of this doom and gloom and fear mongering titles. The latest one, let me just read some of this to you. I actually downloaded the entire transcript of this. It's like a 30-minute long video, and you can't fast forward this video and actually get to the meat of it. You have to listen to the entire thing. And he keeps talking about this law that has been passed. So let me just read the title of this. Public warning issued on behalf of millions of Americans. January 2025, Congress comes for your retirement money. New law set to devastate your 401ks, IRAs, and Roth IRAs. It upends 20 years of retirement planning and sticks it to the middle class, according to the Wall Street Journal. The last one was the upending 20 years of retirement planning. That was just the Wall Street Journal. The other ones were other stuff. And so that sounds horrible, right? What new law is this that is set to devastate your 401k, IRA, or your Roth IRAs, right? He goes through the entire video and never mentions it. Never mentions any law. None. Zero. Never mentions any law that has actually been enacted. And I'm going to read some of it. I'm definitely not going to go through all of it. You don't need to sit here for like a half an hour. But I just kind of want to go through some of this and tell you why I hate this. One, I hate the inability to, if you cannot fast forward through a video, you have to listen to the entire thing. There's usually a reason, because they're trying to sell you something. And that's exactly what's going on here. But let me go through here. So this is, and by the way, Bob Carlson, if some of you guys like Bob Carlson, then I'm sorry. After listening to this and reading this, I have lost almost any respect for this guy. So luckily, since I was actually able to get the transcript, I wish I would have been able to get the transcript before I listened to all 30 minutes of this, because he has one of the most monotone voices I have ever listened to. He should have got an actor to do this for him. And matter of fact, I think that actually would have made a much better video, not just because the voice dynamics and it would have been more entertaining, but two, it just seemed like this guy was basically just patting himself on the back the entire time. And rather than somebody else saying, how good his book is or his newsletter, it's basically just him for 30 minutes talking about how awesome he is on pretty much every piece of this article or piece of this the retirement plan that he's talking about here. All right, so here we go. I'm going to read a little bit and give you my 2 cents worth. It says, "Hi, Bob Carlson here, founder of the Center of Retirement Security. I'm speaking to you today because the U.S. government recently enacted the most devastating law I've seen in my 35 plus years as a retirement expert. So far, horrible. That's horrible. Back to the article. This new law is set to significantly reduce the value of your 401ks, your IRAs, and yes, even your Roth IRAs, and even your pension if you have one of those. Everything you've worked for, all that money you've put away, and the years you spent saving, Congress is taking it away. Trust me, American retirees are about to suffer a serious blow, but don't just take it from me. Look at what the Wall Street Journal reported, and I quote, this new law upends 20 years of retirement planning and sticks it to the middle class. Now I'm going to stop right there for a second. So I enter this into Google. Like every time he quotes a source that has a quote, I look it up. I try to find it. I can't find it. I can't find it anywhere. It's like he's just making stuff up and saying Wall Street Journal said this. I've not been able to find it. And then he says the online media outlet Salon confirmed this. If you thought it was a safe bet to put your money into retirement plans over the span of your career for estate planning, think again. I literally typed that in word for word. I've copied and pasted that word for word into Google. And you know what shows up? This article. That article I'm reading you right now. That's it. All that shows up is his own articles. Nothing else shows up. It's horrible. So, and then he says, look, this hits me personally, and it will hit just about anyone with money put away in a retirement plan. And that's not the worst of it. David Phillips is a noted estate planner and best-selling author, and he calls it the biggest tax hit to your estate since 1913, which 1913 was when they enacted the income tax, by the way. And then he says, listen, this new law is set in stone, which obviously gives you very little time to actually do something about it. It's no wonder the people I work with are scrambling to save their retirements. They don't want to see everything they've worked for taken away. That's why I spent an entire year putting together a new book. Oh, here comes the pitch, right? And I'm going to give you a copy of it at the end of this briefing. So yeah, you got to listen to the other 29 minutes, though, before you can get it. It's called the New American Retirement Plan. Think of it as your retirement survival guide for keeping the government's new rules at bay. So that all sounds horrible, right? And then he goes through a few other things that he talks about, some end around maneuvers for this new law that he never tells us what the new law is ever in the entire time. Listening to the whole thing and going through the transcript, the only thing I can come up with of what he's actually trying to refer to is basically a combination of a few different laws that have been on the books for a few years now. There hasn't been anything in the last recent, couple months that is going to decimate your retirement plans. The first thing that I think he's talking about is, when he's talking about taxes and estates on all these retirement plans, that's basically if you have an IRA and you pass away and it goes on to your kids, well, you used to be able to stretch the distributions from that inherited IRA over the span of your lifetime. So if your child receives that, they don't have to take it all out at once and be taxed on it all at once. They can take out just itty bitty pieces of it throughout their whole life. Well, when the Secure Act came about here several years ago, what that did was it took the stretch IRA from being able to stretch all those distributions out for the life of your kid's life to where now they have to have that completely distributed, the IRA completely distributed within 10 years. And so that will increase the amount of tax that your kid will have to pay on those retirement distributions because it shortens the window of time that they have. So they're taking bigger distributions out, and that could actually bump them up a tax bracket. So they're paying more tax. So that's one of the things that I possibly even think, based on reading all of this, that he could be talking about. But then he also goes on to say certain things where on the surface, when you hear the way that he phrases it, it sounds bad, or it sounds like a mistake that so many people are making. For example, let me do a quick, I love doing, Alt F inside documents so that I can go really quickly to certain topics. So I'm just going to go to Social Security, right? And, Congress just raised the toll to tap your retirement accounts. You're paying more to get your own money. And it talks about, Social Security Trust Fund running out in 2034. And then he also talks about how, here we go, the surefire way to get 76% more on your Social Security payouts. I can tell you exactly how to do that. Don't claim at 62. Instead, claim at 70. Done. Like if you look at the numbers, you can do a quick Google search or just go to the Social Security Administration's website, ssa.gov. And if your full retirement age benefit is $1,000, and that means that if you claimed at 62, it would actually only be $700. It would be reduced, $700. If you waited until 70, your benefit would be $1,240. And so if you take the difference between $1,240 and 700. So let's do that real quick. Let me do that here real time with you. 1,240 minus the 700, you get 540. Now divide that back into the original amount of 700, and that's actually 77% more money. Not 76, like you said. It's actually 77.14. 77%. So that's it. That's all you do. How do you get 76% more of your Social Security payouts? Don't claim at 62. Wait until 70. Done. And this guy is touting this like this is some mind-blowing thing. No, it's not. How to get paid monthly or quarterly using your retirement paycheck. That could just be an annuity. Or you could just be a retirement account where they just set up to do monthly distributions. I mean, good Lord. How to collect tax-free payouts every month for life. And there's several different ways of doing that. You can have a Roth IRA. You could have cash value life insurance inside some type of a universal life policy that you're taking policy loans out on. So, I mean, there's none of this is new. None of it is new. Let's see here. What other things? Oh, mutual fund tax secrets that 99% of Americans know nothing about. You know what that is? That's phantom capital gains. That's all that is. That's when you own a mutual fund. There's lots of different stocks inside that mutual fund. You could literally have 500 different stocks inside that mutual fund. And if you hold that outside of an IRA or outside of a Roth IRA, let's say in one of these after-tax type accounts, brokerage accounts, then those mutual funds, the stocks inside those mutual funds on day one are not the same stocks on day 365. Like on January 1 and December 31, the stocks inside that mutual fund are not the same. There's buying and selling that's happening all year. And if the mutual fund company decides to sell some of the stocks inside of that mutual fund that have had quite a bit of gain, well, now everybody that owns that mutual fund at that time is going to have gains show up on their tax return. That overall mutual fund might actually have a loss for that particular year, but if they sold some of the stocks inside the mutual fund, you will have gains show up on your tax return, even though the overall mutual fund might have been a loss in that particular year. So it might have been gains over, say, 5 years that they sold off, and you happen to own it during that 1 year that they sold it, you're still going to have those show up on your tax return. We call those phantom capital gains, right? Because you didn't make the decision to sell the mutual fund. Your advisor didn't make any decision to sell those mutual funds. Some mutual fund manager in some ivory tower that none of us have met decided to make that decision, and that affected your taxes. That's all that's talking about. And again, that's nothing new. So again, he's just basically repackaging normal stuff into, in my opinion, fear-mongering advertising. And I'm not a fan of that. Not a fan of that at all. And so, oh God, I'm just going through some of this stuff here. And in other words, my advice to anybody, if you're getting any of these emails from Bob Carlson, ignore them. If you're looking at the doom and gloom and the government's coming for your money message that Bob Carlson is touting, well, first off, Congress is always after your money. Newsflash, the government is always going to be after our money because that's the only way they get revenue, by taxing us. Tax revenue. That's it. So they're always after our money because that's the only way they get money. Yeah, don't fall for this, basically is what I'm saying. Do not fall for this at all. It turns out, if you listen to the entire thing or you actually read the entire transcript, all he's trying to do is just sell more newsletter subscriptions. He has a newsletter, and honestly, it costs about almost $250 a year to get his newsletter. Or if it's said another way, that's basically about $20.75 a month that it costs. So let's just do some numbers here. If he wanted, say, an extra $1,000 a month, $12,000 a year, at $249 a year or $20.75 a month, guess how many subscribers he needs in the entire country to make an extra $1,000 a month? He needs 48 subscribers, 48 to 40, somewhere between 48 and 49 subscribers. That's it. In the entire country, 48. That's all. If he wants to make a six-figure annual income, well, that means $100,000. He only needs about 482 subscribers throughout his entire country. The entire country. That's all he needs. And shoot, he probably doesn't even need them in the country. If he's marketing worldwide, I don't know how well this translates, into other countries because they don't have IRAs and Roth IRAs necessarily. But still, 482 subscribers. If that's all he needs to get in order to have a six-figure income, that's not a whole lot. So this message is going to speak to a lot of people, and they are going to spend that $249 to do that, or that $20.75 a month, in order to get access to that newsletter and learn all of these retirement secrets. my advice to him would be to get an actor to do these to do these videos in the future. I will have a link to the video if you guys, for whatever reason, wanted to sit through all 30 minutes of it, but you don't have to sit through 30 minutes of it. You could probably sit through the first couple minutes of it and realize exactly what I'm saying right now. And one, you can't fast forward it. So you would have to listen to his monotone voice for 30 minutes and still not understand what law he's talking about, because he never mentions a law that was actually passed. And so when I look at the features of his advertising, fear mongering, talking about a new law that was passed, but then never ever telling anybody what that law is, and then having a book that he's giving away. It's a free giveaway, but he's giving it away in hopes that you'll consume more of his content and then ultimately end up buying the $20.75 monthly subscription. That's it. It's like, I know how this marketing works. We have different, like I've gone to so many different, industry events where they do touch on marketing. A lot of it we touch on, different ways of investing to get better returns, customer service, things that we can implement in our business to make your lives better. But then we also do talk about marketing in there too. And I recognize some of these strategies when I see them, and there's some I like and some I don't. I really do not like this style. When you just try to keep the carrot dangling out there in front of somebody and you never actually give them the meat, I hate that. I absolutely hate that. In my opinion, also, it's a little disingenuous if you never tell anybody what the name of the law that you say is so horrible is. What are you hiding? What are you hiding? So my advice to him: one, don't market this way. Two, get an actor to do these videos because this dude needs help. But my advice to all of you listening to this is cancel Bob Carlson. Don't worry about any of what he's saying in this, and just cancel him outright. So Bob Carlson, today you have been canceled. All right, guys. Again, just trying to help you guys get enough information so that you can discern between information that's right and information that's wrong, or it's just propagandized or just plain out marketing. And that's all it is, with no meat behind it. So yeah, I want to give you enough information so that you can discern what type of decisions to make to empower you to live the retirement you deserve. That's it, guys. So thanks for listening, and we'll catch you here again next week. Bye.